let's go, Gary. This is the last event in Europe for the EMEA for 2014, sorry, rather. What's your overall evaluation of the UFC's events in the EMEA this year?
Well, we kicked it off in London, and we've had, we had a sellout there, and it was great. We had Alex and Jimmy Manoa. So we got off to a great start. Abu Dhabi is always difficult because it's it's a different marketplace. We're learning all the time. But we put a team of people in here to start executing some of the events, and I'll tell you now, the biggest challenge that we have as the UFC, and a lot of people don't like to hear this, is how do you grow, right? How do you build? You can't make Dana Whites, and you can't clone them, right? So people started saying, well, Dana's not going to be there, so it can't be that important, and that's not what Dana would say. Dana would say they're all important, but he just can't be everywhere. Bruce Buffer can't be everywhere, and we as a company have to learn to grow, and we have to learn to develop our own identity. And I think the team in Europe and Middle East did an absolutely fantastic job this year. Would we like to have had 6? Yeah, and I think that one of the questions was, why didn't we end up in Istanbul? Well, there was some political unrest, and there was a few things that set us off. You also think about what we had this year, right? So Gustafsson could well have fought for a title, and there was all of that noise going on, and we were going to put him in an arena in outdoors in the summer, and then that those things take a turn. So it has to be very flexible, but I would say if this was out of 10, I would give us a 7, 8 out of 10, because I think the team did a great job.
Gary, we've had a lot of momentum from you while you've been in this role in Europe, and obviously you're stepping into the global brand CEO role, if that's the right title. I get confused by them, but how much are you still going to be hands-on with EMEA as well? Because obviously you've created a momentum, and the building blocks you've put in place. Are you still going to have a hand on the tiller in any way?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately all the international businesses, including Brazil and all of the markets outside the United States, report in. So yeah, I'm going to have an influence on that. I think again it goes back to the original question is, as we grow and develop as a company, we got to trust and empower people to run the business. You got to give them the tools to make it work. Dana and Lorenzo have been very supportive of that. I mean, look at the investment that they've put in to the international markets over the last 12 months. It's phenomenal, and we're still a private company, so we know all the dynamics of that. What we have to also learn, though, is that these shows are going to be different. The cards are going to be different. But somebody asked tonight, wouldn't you like to have John Jones at every show? Well, duh, of course you would. But if the other question that you pose is, if you can't have John Jones, you just not have a show? No. So we 2 years ago, Gareth, we didn't have a Conor McGregor, we didn't have an Alex Gustafsson, we didn't have a Ronda Rousey. Think of that. So the company's got to grow, it's got to develop, and if you're not in these global markets, you can't grow and develop. The problem is, when you grow, you can't keep doing what you were doing, and I keep saying to all the team, what got us here is not going to get us there. The runway in front of us is much bigger than what we've had in the past.
Is a stadium show something that you definitely want to try and push for in Europe, whether it's maybe a Gustafsson fight here in Sweden or maybe a McGregor fight in Ireland?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in what I call defining moments. I think we've had a few defining moments. I think Dublin for me was a defining moment, a UFC defining moment globally, and it came from Ireland. And we've had some defining moments in the things that we've discussed tonight. A defining moment would be a stadium show in Europe. The challenge that we have is, as we all know, and you live here, the weather's rubbish. So unless you've got a roof, it makes it very difficult. So the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff is the only roof. Unless you were, I think there's a roof here as well, outdoor. But so that's okay. But I would love to be in the Aviva with Conor McGregor. I'd love to be in the in the Friends Arena or any of the other outdoor arenas with Gustafsson. And I think we're all this starts around. We had GSP in Canada who did it. And then we've had Frotch Groves at Wembley, and you kind of watch those shows and you go, hold on a minute, we can do that, And I live for ambition, and I live for defining moments. So I think if I was to wish for anything in 2015, it would be that.
Just looking at that thought about the Millennium Stadium, then does it make sense to go to Wales with a smaller event at some point? And just build some kind of momentum in Wales at some point. It's a question that's posed out there to us sometimes. You know, Scotland wants one, Northern Ireland wants one again, Wales wants one. Is it worth building there as well?
Yeah, the good news is we get a lot of requests. I've had 3 requests tonight. You know, when are you coming to Finland? When are you coming to Helsinki? When are you all of these markets, right? So we'd love to go to all of them. I think that's a different story than we've had in the past. So that's a good thing. I think when you're looking at all of these markets, I've always had the strategy that we need to go back to the same city every year because that builds a repetitive.
You call it capital city brand, don't you?
Capital city. You know, focus on the capital cities, and we did that in Stockholm, and this is our 3rd time, and we've built a community here. You know, there's the great gym program here. The TV networks are working on it. The local media and press and media are reporting on it, and unfortunately they didn't do so well tonight, but we've got a set of fighters who can stand up and hold their own. So that's the result of that. The downside of it is we don't have enough shows to go around everywhere. So we'd love to go to Cardiff, but I actually think Glasgow next year would be a good option. So you know, we're all, and we haven't even been to Poland and Russia yet. You know, I'm in Russia next week talking to a Russian television station, and we're in Russia talking to promoters who want to bring events there. It hasn't even started yet.
Do you think we saw a headliner in Jan Blachowicz, headliner for Poland tonight in Jan Blachowicz?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I said to Joe Silva tonight, you know, Joe and Sean do a great job of bringing fighters that you know, you put them on the stage and they perform, and to be honest, the Russians, particularly the 2 Chechen fellas, and the Polish guys, I mean, we haven't been to those markets yet, and yet they're performing around the world. So the ideal situation now is new market, new athletes, new television deals, another market opens, another 300 million people watching UFC. Not bad.
Do you think Stockholm can remain an annual destination, or did we see tonight that, you know, as Dave said, there was a lot of competition, but it certainly wasn't the attendance that you're used to in the past events? Do you think it can still support an annual event here?
I do. I think we also have to be aware that we're in the demand creation business, and you know, it's hard to keep going back repeatedly. And this Dave quite rightly said tonight, you know, Gustafsson is a driver, right? And if you don't get Gustafsson, and the reason you all ask the same question, wouldn't you rather have, you know, because that's what we look in the mirror and we go, oh, well, it'd be better if it was that. But if you keep doing that, then you're not going to grow and build. One of the great things tonight, I believe, is we learned that still 10,000 people want to come and see a UFC event. And all the criticism about the cards, which I never buy into that because they're always great fights, but 10,000 people wanted to come and see a UFC event in Stockholm. That to me shows that we've developed the market, and I think that you should never take away, as Dave said tonight, there's only 10,000 in the arena, but you know, it's available in 33 million households. It says Sweden, Stockholm, Swedish fighters, you know, it says Gunnar Nelson, it says all of those things that we love, and I think we're always trying to poke holes in what's wrong, and I actually think we should focus on get the guns firing out and tell everybody what's right, and I think there's a lot more right than wrong.
You spoke about obviously getting a TV deal done, perhaps in Russia. That's been one of the big strides forward that you've taken this year, all these TV deals in various countries. Is it now time to deliver a European Ultimate Fighter next year for all of these TV partners?
Yeah, you know, Dave says it. I feel awkward about this because we have a conversation every week with somebody. It's an investment that's required. It has a lot of logistics around how you share revenue, how you develop revenue, how you monetize. Everybody wants one. We're having a discussion next week about one. We've got an ongoing discussion in a region like the Middle East, and they're well down the line in discussion one. Here's my prediction, and you can take this for what it's worth. Within the next 6 to 8 months, I think we'll begin filming a Ultimate Fighter or a reality series around Ultimate Fighting. So I think we're too close now. not to say something, but we just don't have anything finalised.
Can you give us an indication of where you're looking at to do that, though, in terms of filming it? Where this TUF House will be built? It's obviously not in Vegas. Is it in Europe? Is it in the Middle East? Is it in one of those two places?
Yeah, one of the key things that the guys delivered is you've got the house in Vegas, and what we need is a house. And there's an opportunity with our partners in the Middle East. Wouldn't you love to see a Middle East TUF? I mean, Jiminy Christmas, there'll be so much confrontation in the house over that. That's compelling television, and we want to work with them. So it's not just about showing the show, it's about building the house. And then we're trying to decide what's the strategy for the house, where should it be, should everybody go there, is that part of the journey before you end up being in the UFC? Do you go through a single house in Europe, or do you have them in different cities? But that's logistically difficult, so a lot going on with that.
You're working that all out.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because it is the catalyst that made this business what it is today, and we must make sure that it's the catalyst to continuing the growth for Europe, Middle East and Africa.
Brilliant.
Good? Everybody good?
Thank you. Brilliant.
Thanks so much, fellas. Listen, yeah, sure.
Great night of fights, of course, but result-wise, for the Nordic fighters, it was pretty horrible. You would say 2 out of 7. Does this have any effect whatsoever on the future possibilities of events in Scandinavia?
You know, it really doesn't, and it shouldn't, because we're a UFC. It's the UFC people come to see. Now, there's an added bonus on top of that, another layer, which you can't want to see your local guys. Compare this to Dublin, all right? Dublin, everybody from Ireland, everybody won. And it was surreal. It was a perfect storm. And what happened here tonight, I think you saw it. It sucks the energy out of the audience. You can see it. You can feel it. I said to Dave Allen tonight when we were watching halfway through it, you can feel the energy coming out of the arena because of the guys losing. And that's unfortunate. But you know what? We're in live sport. This is sport. You can't predict it. You can't guess it. You can't make it what it is. What I will say though is that if I was in Dublin last week, and I went to Dublin to watch Conor McGregor's fight from Dublin, and I want to know, is it about Conor McGregor or is it about UFC? I think there's still a lot more about the fighter, be more about UFC, because it is the premier mixed martial arts promoter in the world, and the best fighters are in our organisation. So if you go to a UFC event, you want to see the best fighters. Unfortunately, the locals lose. You can't predict it, but I don't think it'll ever change. I'm just going to say this one thing, if I can. This was my last show tonight, so I'm moving off to Vegas. I just wanted to say from me to all of you, I know some of you are becoming familiar faces, Johnny, Gareth, you guys, you've been brilliant. I want to thank you very, very much. I worked in football, it was a little different there, and you guys are passionate, you love your sport, and if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have what we have. So I just wanted to say thank you from me and all of my staff. So travel safely.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Gareth.
All right, guys. Thank you.